Hello everyone. Last class we learned how to install and set up the Eclipse, install Android AVD plugins. This class we're going to learn how to download the SDK, configure SDK, create Android virtual device, and create our first Android application and run the application. Now let's get started. First, we need to visit the developer.android.com website, and we're going to click on Install the SDK. You will see two buttons. One is Android Studio, the other one is Standalone SDK Tools. Since we're using Eclipse, we're not using Android Studio. We're going to click Standalone SDK Tools. This takes you to the instructions. Now, go download the SDK, and you will see many packages. Here is the recommended package for Windows, and for Mac user, click this one, and Linux user, you need to download this installer. So we're going to click on Windows installer, since I'm a Windows user, and agree to the terms and conditions, and download the installer. Once the installer is downloaded, you can run it. Just follow the wizard. It will ask you to select where to run this executable. Hit next, and you can select install just for me. If you're using your personal computer, you can install for everyone using this computer. If you are using the lab computer, you can select install just for me and hit next. It will direct you to the destination folder to install your Android SDK. If you're okay with this direction, hit OK. It takes about 20 minutes to install the SDK for the first time. Since I already installed it on my computer, I'm going to hit cancel. But for you, you're just going to follow the wizard and hit next, start installation. Once it's installed, and go to Eclipse and click on Window and hit Preference. Select Android. In this text editor, where it says SDK location, make sure it's pointing to your SDK location. Mine is at user/ali/appdata/local/android/SDK. And hit apply and OK. We have met all the prerequisites of creating our Android virtual device. To create our Android virtual device, we can go to Windows and click Android SDK Manager, or in the menu bar, hit this little guy over here, Android Virtual Device Manager. And we can create virtual device from here. I'm going to create a new virtual device. Hit Create button. AVD name, I'm going to just call it New Device. Select the device, Lexus 5, and target Android 5. CPU, basically you just set all the parameters. SD card, I'm just going to put 100 megabytes and hit OK. Now you see my new device is created. I'm going to select a new device and click Start, and then hit Launch. It's starting my Android virtual device. The first time it's going to take a long time. Just like when you purchased a new smartphone, the first time you launch the phone, it takes a long time to initiate the device. So just be patient. Finally, my virtual device started. I'm going to unlock this device. And this is the interface. You can play with the interface. Now we have created this virtual device. Let me go ahead and close this Android Virtual Device Manager and go back to Eclipse IDE. Now we are ready to create our first Android project. Let's go to File, Add New, select Project, and click Android Application Project. Hit Next. We're going to give it an application name. This application name can be anything. Basically, if you deploy your application to Google Play, this is the name that's going to show in the Play Store. So I'm going to name it as My First Android Project. And you can see the system automatically generates the project name and a package name. I'm going to change the package name into com.ali.myfirstandroidproject. Look at the minimum required SDK, API 8, which is okay, but I may not want to support API that old. So I'm going to select API 10, Gingerbread. Target SDK is the latest API, which is fine. And I'm okay with the rest of the settings. And this setting should be able to cover about 95% of the Android devices. I'm going to hit Next and Next. This page asks you to configure launch icon. Hit Next and create activity. I'm just going to use the blank activity and hit Next. The activity name is main activity. Layout is activity_main. At this point, you can just think of activity as a page. We want to give each page a name. So when we change from page to page, we know which page we're really looking at. And you can click Finish. Now the system is creating your Android project. And my Android project is created. As you can see, it shows up on the left pane, My First Android Project. Great. Now click on My First Android Project and you will be able to see the structure, the hierarchy of the folder. There are many important folders. The source contains all the source code. The gen contains generated Java files. We have the resource folder, which contains our image resource, layout resource, or system or customer-defined variables. And Android manifest.xml is a very important file. All this we're going to cover later. For now, let's just click the little triangle before source and click the little triangle before com.ali.myfirstandroidproject package and double-click main activity.java. Initially, this activity looks like this. It has import and has class definition. If we click the plus in front of import, we will see all the imported files. Now, we're going to modify the method onCreate. And in this method, we're going to add a text view. Let's call it TV and equals to new. We're going to create a new text view instance and pass this pointer at the context to the text view and hit return. Oh, you can see there are some red line underscore text view. What's wrong? If we click the cross here, it tells us we forgot something really important. We forgot to import this text view, which is contained in Android.widget. Let's go ahead and do that. The quickest way is just to click this line, and the system is going to generate this code for you. In the next line, we're going to type this dot set title and give it a title. Let's say Hello Android. Next, we are going to set content view and pass the text view object to it. After we're done with this, save your change, and we are ready to run this Android application. We can either go to Run and hit Run, or in the menu bar, just hit the Run button. It's launching the project. On the status bar, we can see the progress. It took some time, but now on my virtual device, you can find the icon to my first Android project. Click this icon. And you can see that your application has launched. The title says Hello Android. So, congratulations, you have run your first Android program.